Hello, my name is Jeff Jamilo, and I'd like to talk about free will versus choices. Choices is literally, as a definition, choices is one of a set amount of options you're allowed to have. Example is you have choices in which you want to eat for dinner today: pizza, chicken wings, lobster. Those are your three choices, one of the three. Free will is more interesting because free will means you can do whatever you want. And a lot of times people get these confused. At least I believe so. They get them confused because you hear people talk about, well, the Lord gave us free will. I go, well, the Lord gave you free choice. You get the choice of what they provide. Because if you take one of the things that He didn't provide, bad stuff happens, such as your life turns into a wreck and until you go back on your right path. But that has to do with contracts. And briefly, I want to talk about contracts a little bit. Before you even come down here on the ethers, from the ethers, you actually have you signed up for certain contracts, and these contracts really say, I'm going to be a bad husband. I'm going to go beat this person here, and this person, you and them have a contract that you're going to be the beater, I'm going to be the beatee, one of the two, and that's kind of how it's going to work. Or I'm going to be a loving husband, and you're going to, disrespect me. Whatever the contract says, that's what it is. And usually you have to adhere to that. And there's very strict penalties if you don't adhere to that. Or the contract gets broken for some reason. There's usually a contingency plan listed in there, what happens. But anyway, so you have all these contracts. What happens is you go through life fulfilling these contracts. So you can think of it as free will. The only time you actually really get free will is when you're out of contracts. You're plumb out of contracts. That means you die tomorrow. When you reincarnate, you're not coming back here to the Earth school. You're off to another world, whether it be heaven, whatever you want to be. You're not here. You're not coming back here. It's not a reincarnation path back to here, because your lessons have done. And usually that's not how that one works. For most people, it is not. I wish it was more, but it's not. So you got these contracts. Even myself, I've ran out of contracts, they gave me more. Your higher self agrees to these contracts. It's okay, I can do this, I can do this. And usually it is for a higher good, these contracts. Once you get rid of all your lesson learning contracts, you got contracts to, you could say, like, help other people. In other words, I'll have a contract that maybe says, I'm supposed to give $20 to this person and it'll change their life forever. Okay, but it'll happen next year. So my higher self agreed to it. So now everything's going to be set up for this person to come meet me. For me to give him $20. To satisfy that contract. And you just keep getting more and more. But it's different contracts. It's not karmic contracts where you have to learn a lesson. Oddly enough, what's funny about the situation is the Lord said to me, eventually you're going to get a spouse. It'll be a choice of two spouses. I'm like, okay. And I go, and they're basically, my spirit team actually pre-qualified these people. I said, it could be more, but they're only telling me about two. So literally they gave me the ages. Okay, these are the people that I'm going to meet. Here's their age, so I can help identify them. But it's kind of funny because you think about it and I go, well, what if I want to go over and, free will the thing? I want to go over and go out with a stripper. I'm sure it's not going to work well. I'm sorry, not stripper, exotic dancer. I'm sorry, stripper. You look at it and say, is that good? I go, well, be good for me, I guess. I go, but at the same time, it's not good for the Lord, so He would blow it up. We're back to free will versus choices. You were given two choices. You got the free will to pick one of those two choices. That's kind of the way I look at it. Now, mind you, usually what happens is out of the choices you're given, one is a better choice than the other one. God doesn't really take sides other than, hint, hint, that's my choice or that's my choice, okay? But He doesn't really play like that. So it's one of them is a little bit better than others. You just got to pay attention to which one and how they make you feel. Is it more, are this person in alignment with God? Together, when we get together, are both of us are going to be pointing toward God. That's what's important about it. And that's what people kind of forget. It's people kind of go through this aspect of, hey, I got all this free will. I go, you don't got that much free will as you think. Unless you're out of contracts, you don't have free will. And I'll be honest with you, if you're out of contracts, okay, that means you're pretty much going to a bad place. Because they're not giving any more contracts because you're too terrible. You're doing too much havoc on this planet. And more than likely, you'll be taken out eventually. But it's not my job to judge. I'm just saying is, when you stop getting contracts, it usually means that you're not doing very well. The other interesting thing that people forget is no choice or no action is a choice. And I'm guilty of this myself. Where you'll sit there and not do something. And say, okay, let me think about this. You keep pondering it. After a certain amount of time, that becomes an action. At that point, you took the action of doing nothing. And oddly enough, you can look at it as a little flow chart, that they have up in the heavens. What happens when there was no action? We do this, or we come and repeat something else. Because you didn't learn what you're supposed to learn. That's kind of how that one works. But people kind of forget that. And free will is a very interesting thing. Because you hear people throw it around like they like you really want. I'll be honest with you. I'm pretty sure the Lord does not like free will at all. Because if there wasn't for free will caused havoc with divine timing of all things. I have to arrange what you're doing with someone else is doing, what someone else is doing, to make something happen, for the Lord. And that's why it takes so long, because, let's see, I can't, God's not going to force you to do anything. But look, imagine how much free will, if you exercise a lot of free will, it'll take a long time for you to fulfill that contract. And that's not good. Not good for anyone involved, actually. Now, the good news about the Lord is you also have free will, and part of that free will, and the reason why He keeps it around, is that the free will, actually, you have free will to worship whoever you want to worship. That also means Him. It's kind of like, basically, the idea of faith. Faith is untangible. You can't prove it. And there's a reason why you can't prove it. Because if you could prove it, everyone would have it. The purpose behind faith is for you to believe with incomplete information. Climate change, people believe in that. That's faith. You can't prove it, really. As much as they come up with numbers, they really can't prove climate change. Especially when you see the chemtrails in the sky. If you stop screwing around with the chemtrails, you wouldn't have a lot of climate change. But regardless, the fact remains that people, a lot of times, we don't know what our choices are. I'm lucky. I was told my choices are. Just like I'm pretty sure in my life, if I wanted to, if I decided I want to be a brain surgeon. I want to go to school right now to be a brain surgeon. I'm pretty sure the Lord will poo-poo that one and blow that one up. Because if that's not what He wants, something will happen, it'll blow up. Either the funding won't go through, or I'll just grossly dislike it and I'll be out of there. But that's the point, though. The point is, free will is funny because free will is not free. So what I would say is actually pay attention with your intuition more and find out what your options actually are. When you pray at night, ask the Lord, can you show me in a dream or in a vision what your options are? Okay? Your spirit team will show you. If you're in good with your spirit team. And if you're not, you got to work on a better relationship with spirit team. You should have a little bit more intuition with your spirit team. So, regardless, hopefully you found this helpful. I don't understand why people still believe there's free will. Perhaps if you're a karmic, you have free will. But I do have a tendency to believe everyone has a contract to fulfill. Think of it this way: if you don't get any more contracts, or all your contracts have been severed, you're kind of like roaming around, causing trouble, something's going to take you out. You can't have chaos roaming around. So eventually, something will take you out, whether it be the Lord, whether it be your ancestors, whether it be another person like yourself. But I do believe everyone has contracts, so everyone here has a purpose here, otherwise would be learning. Some people say, heck with the wind, and I don't want to learn anything anymore. There's a lot of people that do that. A lot of people that do witchcraft, oddly enough. They went through the course on witchcraft in one lifetime, and it's like, yeah, I like that. And they just keep doing it lifetime after lifetime, and there's lessons to learn, and they're not learning them. And then, unfortunately, they get a real rude awakening from the powers that be, whether it be the Lord or the universe, will come back and spank them a bit. A little bit of karma here and there, because, and they can't figure out why they're getting it. Or they can't figure out why, or they look at it the other way and say, I'm going to get it anyway. I must do whatever the hell I want. I go, yes, but life's a lot easier when you do what you're supposed to do. Anyway, as I said, I just wanted to mention that. It popped in my mind. And people haven't seen me, and for the most part, for the people who are doing the spell work, I'm still alive, as you can tell. People in their free will. And for the people who are doing spell work, I hope you enjoy your karma that you're going to get, because I don't know you. I've done nothing toward you. Energetically, I'm innocent of you. So, either way, I hope this found this helpful, and have a great day.